I've been married to Laura for almost 10 years. We have a beautiful daughter, Mia, who's 7 and the center of our lives. Laura and I met in college, and we shared a whirlwind romance that quickly turned into something serious. At least, that's what I thought. For years, I thought we were on solid ground, but lately, been this nagging feeling in my gut. It started with little things: a missed phone call, sudden late nights at work, and a strange, almost defensive vibe whenever I'd ask about her whereabouts. Laura had always been the life of the party, confident and full of charm. But over the past few months, she'd become more secretive. I brushed it off initially, thinking maybe she was just overwhelmed with her job or trying to manage her responsibilities at home. But in hindsight, those changes were my first clues that something was wrong. The moment I finally caught her was a typical Wednesday evening. Mia was at her dance class and I decided to surprise them. I figured I'd pick up some pizza and make a fun night of it. But when I got to the dance studio, I noticed Laura's car in the parking lot, odd since she had mentioned a work meeting. I decided to sneak a peek inside, thinking I'd catch her helping out with the kids. Instead, I found her in a corner of the studio, wrapped in the arms of Mia's dance teacher, Jake. They were practically glued together, whispering and laughing, oblivious to the world. My heart dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't process what I was seeing. It was as if someone had flipped a switch in my mind, and everything I thought I knew shattered into pieces. I backed away quietly, my heart racing, trying to make sense of the scene. I drove home in a daze, the pizza forgotten in the passenger seat. I couldn't confront her then. I needed to figure out what to do. The image of her with Jake replayed over and over in my head. I'd seen the way she looked at him, the way her laugh lit up the room. All those feelings of love and devotion I once had for her began to twist into anger and betrayal. The next few days were hell. I sat on our couch in silence, replaying every moment of our lives together. I tried to talk to her, to act normal, but I could barely focus on anything she said. The lies came flooding back to me, the excuses for being late, the late-night phone calls, her sudden obsession with Mia's dance classes. In hindsight, it all made sense. She was gaslighting me while she was busy getting her kicks with some guy who was supposed to be mentoring our daughter. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted her one night after putting Mia to bed. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I demanded an explanation. "Laura, what's going on with you and Jake?" I asked, my voice shaky but determined. Her expression shifted from surprise to a defensive smirk. "What are you talking about?" she shot back, crossing her arms. "You're being ridiculous. Jake is just helping Mia with her dance routine. You know how much she loves it." I could feel the rage boiling inside me. "I saw you, Laura. I saw you with him. Don't lie to me." The words escaped my lips before I could even think, and the look on her face was a mixture of confusion and defiance. She tried to play it off, but the excuses came pouring out. "It was just a moment, nothing happened. You're being paranoid." Her tone was condescending, as if I was the crazy one for even considering that she could betray me like this. I felt like I was losing my mind, and every part of me wanted to scream at her. Instead, I took a deep breath and stepped back. I had to gather my thoughts. I felt the world closing in on me. How could the woman I loved do this to me, to our family? How could she risk everything for some fling with a younger guy? It was a whirlwind of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal. But it also sparked something inside me. I realized I couldn't just let this go. I had to make a decision, and it wouldn't be easy. Laura's lies hung in the air like a thick fog, and I felt the weight of them pressing down on me. I was no longer just a husband. I was a man whose world had just been turned upside down, and I had to figure out how to navigate through it. As I sat there staring at her, I knew I needed to think about Mia. She deserved better than this mess. I had to protect her, even if it meant making some tough choices. The road ahead was going to be complicated, but I was ready to face it. I decided this was far from over. The next steps I took would change everything. After that confrontation, I felt a storm brewing inside me. I went to bed that night with a mix of anger and confusion swirling in my head, unable to sleep. Laura lay next to me, feigning innocence, but I could tell she was restless too. I could hear her breathing change as she tried to feign sleep, but I knew better. It felt like we were living in two different worlds, and I was no longer willing to share mine with her. The next day, I had to put on a brave face for Mia. She was so innocent, so blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding in her parents' lives. I took her to school, and she chattered away about her dance class, blissfully unaware of what was about to explode in our family. I forced a smile, laughing at her usual antics, but inside I felt hollow. After dropping me off, I went home and sat in silence, letting everything sink in. I needed to process everything that had happened. I decided to do some digging. I wasn't going to let Laura's lies go unchecked. I needed evidence to confront her properly. I had to know the extent of this affair. I began scrolling through her social media, looking for any sign of her betrayal. It didn't take long before I stumbled upon something that made my blood boil. Laura had posted a photo on her Instagram of herself with Jake, their heads closed together, both of them laughing. The caption read, "So grateful for amazing friends who inspire me every day. Dance life." My heart sank. The betrayal felt tangible. It was as if I could reach out and touch the hurt. I snapped a screenshot, my hands shaking. I felt sick to my stomach. This wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was a full-blown relationship. As the anger bubbled up inside me, I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't just confront her with vague accusations anymore. I needed to hit her with the truth. Later that evening, I decided to confront her again. Mia was with my parents for the night, and I felt an eerie calm wash over me. With the screenshot in hand, I waited for Laura to come home. When she walked through the door, she had a smile on her face that made my blood boil. "Hey, babe, you'll never guess what happened at work today," she chirped, clearly in a good mood. I cut her off before she could ramble on, holding up my phone. "Let's talk about this instead," I said, my voice steady but laced with underlying fury. I showed her the photo, watching her reaction closely. "What is this?" I asked, my tone low and threatening. Her face paled as she glanced at the screen, and the smile faded. "That's just a silly picture, it doesn't mean anything," she stammered, but the look in her eyes told me she knew it was over. "Laura, I'm done with your lies. This isn't just a friendship. You're cheating on me," I shouted, my voice echoing in the room. She tried to backpedal, throwing out excuses that began to sound like a broken record. "It was just fun. You don't understand. You've been so distant," she pleaded. "Distant? You're the one who's been keeping secrets," I retorted, the tension in the room thickening. "Don't you dare turn this around on me. You're the one who decided to betray our family for a fling with a dance teacher." For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. It was the fear of being caught, of facing the reality of her actions. I had her right where I wanted, and it felt both satisfying and devastating at the same time. "I don't know what you want me to say," she finally blurted out, tears forming in her eyes. "I messed up. I thought I could handle it." Her admission hit me like a brick wall. "You thought you could handle it. You thought you could betray me and our family and just get away with it." I could feel the rage building inside me again, but I forced myself to remain calm. "I've always supported your dreams, Laura," I said, my voice low but firm. "And this is how you repay me, by throwing it all away for some guy who probably sees you as just another notch on his belt." She burst into tears, and for a fleeting moment I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but it quickly faded as I remembered the hurt and betrayal. I took a deep breath, knowing I had to stay strong. "I won't be a victim anymore," I said, my voice steady. "I'm going to take control of this situation." That statement was like a light bulb going off in my head. I realized that while Laura had turned my world upside down, I had the power to change it back, but I had to think carefully about my next steps. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about ensuring Mia had a future free from the chaos that Laura had created. As Laura blubbered apologies and excuses, I started to form a plan. I couldn't just confront her. I needed to make sure I had the upper hand. I needed to think about Mia's future and how I would protect her from the fallout of her mother's actions. The game was just beginning, and I was determined not to lose. Every moment of this betrayal only fueled my resolve. I would take control of my life and ensure that Mia would have the opportunities she deserved, regardless of what Laura had done. The journey ahead would require strength, but somehow I felt a sense of purpose blooming within me. After that confrontation, things between Laura and me shifted dramatically. The tension in our home was palpable, as if a dark cloud had settled over us. I could see it affecting Mia too. She was unusually quiet, sensing the turmoil but not fully understanding it. I wanted to protect her from the fallout, but I knew I had to confront the reality of our situation head-on. With each passing day, the anger I felt towards Laura morphed into a steely resolve. I began to strategize how I could turn this betrayal into an opportunity for Mia. I knew that Laura did not deserve a free pass after what she had done. I wanted to ensure that Mia could thrive, regardless of her mother's choices. I started researching world-class dance academies. Mia was incredibly talented for her age, and I knew that if I could get her into a prestigious program, it could completely change her future. Dance was her passion, and I was determined to support that, no matter what it took. I wanted her to focus on her art and flourish, free from the chaos of her mother's indiscretions. As I delved deeper, I discovered an academy known for producing some of the best dancers in the industry. The program was competitive, but Mia had something special. I reached out for an audition, excited but nervous. It felt like a small glimmer of hope amidst the wreckage. Meanwhile, Laura was trying to salvage our marriage. She shifted from denial to attempts at appeasement. "I'll do anything to fix this," she pleaded one night, her voice shaky. "I'm sorry, I want us to work. I'll stop talking to Jake, I promise." I could hardly look at her as she spoke. Her remorse felt insincere, like she was more concerned with keeping her life intact than truly understanding the damage she had done. "Laura, it's not just about him. It's about trust. You've shattered everything," I replied, my voice cold. Weeks went by, and with each passing day I felt more empowered to take control of my life. The audition for Mia was set for a Saturday afternoon. I had been practicing with her, but I could tell she was feeling the weight of the situation at home. I hoped that if she could channel her emotions into her dance, it would not only help her performance but also provide a temporary escape from the turmoil. On the day of the audition, I woke up early, excitement bubbling in my chest. I made a special breakfast for both of us, hoping to uplift Mia's spirits. She beamed as she dug into her pancakes, oblivious to the storm brewing in the background. "Are you ready for today?" I asked her, giving her an encouraging smile. "I think so. I've been practicing, Dad," she replied, her eyes sparkling with determination. It warmed my heart to see that passion and drive in her. When we arrived at the academy, the atmosphere was electric. Dancers of all ages were warming up, and I could feel the energy pulsing through the air. Mia watched in awe, and I could see her confidence building. She was exactly where she needed to be. After a while, it was time for her audition. I hugged her tightly and whispered, "Just remember to have fun and show them how much you love to dance." She nodded, her small frame trembling with excitement and nerves. As she stepped onto the stage, I felt my heart swell with pride. I watched her pour her heart into her performance, every leap and turn infused with passion. She embodied everything that dance meant to her, raw and real. I could see the judges watching her intently, nodding along to the rhythm of her movements. When she finished, the applause echoed in the room, and I felt tears prick at my eyes. She had given it her all, and regardless of the outcome, I knew she was destined for greatness. The following week, I received a call from the academy. They wanted Mia to join their program. I was over the moon. This was a life-changing opportunity for her, and I couldn't wait to share the news. When I told Laura about Mia's acceptance, her reaction was less than enthusiastic. "That's great, but what about us?" she asked, her frustration bubbling to the surface. I felt a mix of pride and anger. "Laura, this isn't about you anymore. This is about Mia's future." She tried to argue, but I wasn't having it. I was done listening to her excuses. The reality was I had to put Mia first, and if Laura couldn't see how her actions had consequences, then I was prepared to put even more distance between us. As Mia's first day at the academy approached, I took a step back to reflect on everything that had happened. I had transformed from a husband blindsided by betrayal to a father on a mission to secure his daughter's future. I was determined to protect Mia at all costs, even if it meant leaving Laura behind. I was learning that the power of love didn't just extend to a partner. It also encompassed the fierce bond between a parent and child. I realized that I was no longer bound by the shackles of betrayal. Instead, I was free to forge a new path, one where Mia could excel, free from the chaos of her mother's choices. The stakes were high, and I was ready for whatever came next. This was just the beginning of a new chapter for Mia and me, one where we could thrive, no matter the fallout from Laura's infidelity. I felt a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. I was ready to fight for my daughter's future, and I was prepared to stand strong against whatever Laura would throw my way. As the days passed and Mia began her journey at the academy, I found a new rhythm in my life. Each morning, the excitement in her eyes as she prepared for class ignited a spark in me, making me forget the turmoil with Laura, even if just for a moment. I supported Mia wholeheartedly, driving her to classes, attending performances, and basking in the joy that her passion brought. I felt like I was finally doing something right for her, a mission that gave me purpose amidst the chaos. Yet I was still walking a fine line with Laura. Though she had promised to change and stop seeing Jake, I was acutely aware that the damage was done. She still tried to insert herself into our lives, but I kept my distance, focusing on Mia. I couldn't afford to let her back into my heart without concrete proof that she was genuinely remorseful. One evening, as I was picking Mia up from class, I spotted Laura standing outside the academy waiting for us. My heart raced with indignation. I had hoped to keep Mia insulated from her mother's attempts to reinsert herself into our lives, but here she was, lurking in a place that had become a sanctuary for us. "Can we talk?" Laura asked, her voice soft but strained. I hesitated, knowing that any conversation with her was like walking through a minefield. "Not now, Laura. We're on our way home," I replied firmly, ushering Mia along. "Please, just 5 minutes," she insisted, her desperation palpable. I looked down at Mia, who was obliviously chatting about her day, and I felt a surge of protectiveness. "Fine," I relented, stepping aside while keeping Mia close, "but make it quick." Laura took a deep breath, her composure cracking. "I know I messed up," she said, her voice trembling, "but I really want to make things right. I want to be part of Mia's life again." I couldn't help but scoff at her words. "You think you can just waltz back into our lives after what you did, after the betrayal? You've shattered our trust, Laura. You have no idea how much damage you've caused." Her eyes glistened with tears, but I remained resolute. "I'm here for Mia, not for you. If you want to be in her life, you need to prove to me that you've changed." She nodded vigorously, but I could see the desperation in her eyes. "I'll do anything, I swear. I'll attend therapy, I'll cut ties with Jake for good. Just give me a chance." As much as I wanted to believe her, I was unwilling to let my guard down. I had seen the way she manipulated the truth, twisting it to fit her narrative. "We'll see. You need to earn that trust back. It won't happen overnight," I warned her, my tone firm. With that, I turned away, leading Mia to the car. I felt guilty for shutting her down, but I knew I had to remain strong for both Mia and myself. I couldn't allow Laura's emotional turmoil to affect Mia's newfound excitement and stability at the academy. In the weeks that followed, Mia flourished. She was making friends, and her skills were improving daily. The joy of dance filled our home, and it became a sanctuary for both of us. I found myself investing more time in her lessons, often joining her for practice, and it created a bond that was stronger than ever. However, Laura's attempts to reconnect persisted. She would send messages, trying to check in on Mia, often asking about her classes. I would respond with the same short answers, maintaining a cordial distance. I didn't want Mia to feel the weight of my issues with her mother. One evening, after a particularly grueling week, I found myself browsing through social media. I was surprised to see a post from Laura, a photo of her and Jake back together, looking cozy and intimate at a party, captioned, "Sometimes, you just have to follow your heart." My heart dropped. I felt my face flush with anger, and I slammed my phone down. It was clear she hadn't changed at all. She was still living her life without any regard for the promises she made. I wasn't going to let this affect me, though. I pushed it aside, focusing on Mia as she danced around the living room, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in the background. That weekend, we had a performance at the academy. As I Watched Mia on stage, the spotlight shining down on her, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride. She was radiant, pouring her heart into every movement. The applause from the audience echoed in my ears, and I found myself smiling uncontrollably. After the performance, Mia rushed off the stage, her face beaming with joy. "Did you see me dance, Dad? Wasn't it amazing?" I knelt down, scooping her into my arms. "You were incredible, Mia. I'm so proud of you." In that moment, I realized that the love I had for her was far more powerful than any pain Laura had caused. Despite the chaos, I was creating a future for Mia that was brighter than I ever imagined. As we were leaving the theater, I noticed Laura standing at the back of the room, watching us intently. She approached us, a forced smile on her face. "Great job, Mia. You really stole the show." Mia's eyes lit up and she ran to her mother, enveloping her in a hug. I wanted to intervene, to pull her away, but I held back. Mia deserved to have that moment, even if it felt like a dagger to my heart. "Thanks, Mom." Mia beamed, oblivious to the tension between us. I watched as Laura knelt down, whispering sweet nothings to Mia, her eyes glistening with a mix of pride and longing. It was hard to watch, but I reminded myself that I needed to stay strong. As we walked out together, Laura attempted to engage me, but I remained distant. "Can we talk about Mia's classes sometime? I want to be involved," she suggested, her voice laced with a hint of desperation. I shook my head. "We can talk about her classes, but only when you're ready to prove that you're fully committed to being a good mother." Her expression faltered, but I turned away, focusing on Mia as she chatted excitedly about her performance. I had to remind myself that my priority was Mia. Laura's journey to redemption wasn't my responsibility. As the weeks continued, I became increasingly aware of the duplicity in Laura's actions. She was trying to play the devoted mother while still entangled in a relationship that had caused irreparable damage. I knew I had to keep setting boundaries for Mia's sake. This was a new chapter for us, and I was determined to make it the best one possible. I had a mission: to ensure that Mia's future was limitless, and I was willing to do whatever it took to protect her from the chaos surrounding us. I was her father, and I would always fight for her happiness, no matter the cost. As Mia continued to thrive at the dance academy, I found myself increasingly drawn into the world I had created for her. It was a world filled with creativity, passion, and a sense of purpose. Her teachers praised her as a natural talent, and it sparked a joy in me that I hadn't felt in a long time. However, amidst the triumph of Mia's success, my relationship with Laura deteriorated further. Laura's attempts to reconnect felt more like desperate grabs for attention rather than sincere efforts to amend our broken family. She would show up at the academy unannounced, trying to engage with Mia, and I began to resent her for it. Each encounter felt like a reminder of the betrayal, and I was determined to keep my distance. One evening, after another flawless day of practice for Mia, we returned home to find Laura waiting at our doorstep. My heart sank. I had hoped to avoid another confrontation, but there she was, looking more desperate than ever. "Can we please talk?" she implored, her voice trembling. I glanced at Mia, who had already bolted to her room, eager to practice her new routine. I felt a mix of irritation and concern. "What do you want, Laura?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I just want to see Mia," she replied, her eyes wide with a combination of hope and fear. "I've been trying to change. I'm serious about being a better mother." "Change?" I scoffed, the bitter taste of her past actions bubbling to the surface. "I saw the pictures, Laura. You're still with Jake. You think that's what a better mother looks like." Her face flushed with embarrassment and she deflected. "That was before. I'm done with him, I promise. I just want to be part of Mia's life. She needs me." "She needs a stable home, not this chaos you're trying to create," I shot back, my patience thinning. Just then, Mia emerged from her room, her innocent face lighting up when she saw Laura. "Mom," she called out, and I felt my heart twist painfully. Laura's demeanor changed instantly. She knelt down and wrapped her arms around Mia. "Sweetheart, I missed you so much. How was practice?" Mia beamed, pulling back to share her latest achievements. I stood off to the side, watching the scene. It was a reminder of everything Laura had put us through, yet I couldn't take away Mia's moment of joy. As they chatted, I mulled over my options. I could feel my resolve faltering as I watched my daughter interact with the woman who had hurt our family so deeply. I knew I had to make a decision soon. After a few minutes, I cleared my throat, breaking the mother-daughter moment. Mia, why don't you go get ready for bed? I need to talk to your mom for a minute. Mia looked between us, sensing the tension. Okay, Dad, she replied reluctantly, retreating to her room. Once we were alone, I turned my full attention to Laura. This can't keep going on, I said firmly. You have to decide what you want. If you truly want to be part of Mia's life, you need to cut ties with Jake completely. No more lies, no more games. I'm trying, she replied, her voice low. I really am, but it's hard to just turn it off. I took a deep breath, trying to maintain my composure. You don't understand what you've done to our family. We're trying to rebuild a life without the chaos you created. It's not just about you anymore. Laura's eyes filled with tears, and for a brief moment I thought I saw genuine remorse flicker across her face. I know, and I'm sorry. I want to make it right. Then do it, Laura. Show me you mean it. I'm not going to let you drag Mia into your mess. If you can't commit to that, I will keep her away from you, I warned, my tone unyielding. Her expression shifted from desperation to frustration. You can't keep her from me. I'm her mother. Not if you're going to keep breaking her trust, I shot back. If you really care about Mia, you'll figure it out. I'm giving you a chance, but it's on you to prove yourself. With that, I turned away, leaving her standing there, her face a mixture of anger and despair. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt, but I knew it was necessary. I had to protect Mia above all else. As the days went by, Laura continued to send me messages, trying to convince me of her commitment. She would share snippets of her life, claiming she had broken things off with Jake, but I remained skeptical. I had learned not to trust her words anymore. I chose to focus on Mia and the incredible journey she was on. The Academy showcased a major performance coming up, and Mia was selected to be part of a special group routine. Seeing her so happy filled me with pride, and it was a reminder of why I was fighting so hard to keep her away from the toxicity that Laura had introduced into our lives. As the performance day approached, I felt a sense of anticipation mixed with anxiety. I wanted everything to go smoothly for Mia, but I also felt the weight of Laura's potential reaction looming over me. On the day of the performance, I arrived early, eager to see Mia shine on stage. The auditorium was packed with parents and families, the energy buzzing with excitement. I spotted Mia backstage, her face lit up with joy as she practiced her routine. The performance began, and as I watched her dance, I could hardly contain my pride. She was a star, effortlessly gliding across the stage, embodying everything her hard work represented. The audience erupted in applause, and I felt tears prick at my eyes. Just as the curtain fell, I caught sight of Laura in the crowd. Her expression was unreadable as she clapped, and I felt a surge of anger. I didn't want her to take this moment away from Mia, but I also knew I couldn't let it consume me. After the performance, Mia rushed into my arms, joy spilling over as she celebrated her success. Did you see me, Dad? I was amazing. You were incredible, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. I replied, lifting her high, feeling the warmth of her joy radiating through me. But I could still feel Laura's presence nearby, watching us, and I knew I had to be cautious. I wouldn't allow her to undermine the happiness Mia had worked so hard to achieve. As the evening unfolded, I made a decision. It was time for me to take a stand. I needed to set clear boundaries for Laura, not just for myself, but for the sake of Mia. I refused to let her chaos spill over into our lives any longer. The night would mark a turning point. I was ready to confront Laura once and for all, to ensure that Mia's future remained bright and free from the shadows of betrayal. It was time to close the door on her past actions and make it clear that our lives were moving forward, without the chaos she introduced. I was prepared to protect my daughter, whatever it took. As the applause from Mia's performance faded, I felt a surge of determination. This was a pivotal moment, not just for Mia, but for me as well. It was time to confront Laura once and for all and set the boundaries that would define our new reality. After the performance, Mia was still buzzing with excitement, completely unaware of the weight of the conversation I was about to have with her mother. I took her hand and led her to the lobby, scanning the crowd for Laura. I spotted her lingering near the entrance. She looked a little out of place, dressed in a way that felt slightly overdone for a casual performance, and the sight of her sent a wave of anger through me. Mia, still riding high on her success, ran ahead to greet her mother, pulling away from my grip. I felt a moment of panic surge through me, but I quickly reminded myself that this was about Mia, not my feelings for Laura. "Mom, did you see me? I danced so well," Mia exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. "I did. You were fantastic, sweetheart," Laura replied, her voice dripping with sweetness as she embraced Mia. I stood off to the side, trying to maintain my composure. "Mia, can I talk to Mom for a second?" I said, trying to keep my tone even. "Okay, Dad," Mia replied, skipping off to chat with one of her friends nearby. Once we were alone, I faced Laura, my heart racing with a mix of anger and determination. "We need to talk," I said, my voice firm. "About what?" she asked, trying to feign innocence, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. "About Mia, obviously. I need you to understand that your past actions have consequences. You can't just waltz back into her life whenever you feel like it," I said, my voice steady. "I'm trying to be a part of her life," Laura protested, her voice rising slightly. "I've made mistakes, but I've changed. I'm not with Jake anymore." "Prove it," I shot back, my patience wearing thin. "I need to see action, not just words." "Mia deserves a stable environment, and right now I don't see that from you. You can't keep dragging your baggage into our lives." Laura's expression shifted to one of defensiveness. "You don't understand how hard it's been for me. I've been trying." "It's not about you, Laura," I said, cutting her off. "Every time you show up, it complicates things for Mia. She needs consistency, not this emotional roller coaster. If you really want to be part of her life, you need to cut ties with Jake for good and prove to her and me that you are committed to being her mother." She looked taken aback, her eyes narrowing. "You can't control me forever. I'm her mother." "No, you're not just her mother. You're a woman who made choices that hurt our family deeply," I replied, my voice steady but full of conviction. "If you want to be in Mia's life, you will have to earn that right. I'm not going to let you hurt her again." For a moment we stood in silence, the weight of our past hanging heavily in the air. I could see the frustration and anger in her eyes, but also a flicker of understanding. "Fine," she said eventually, her voice low. "What do you want me to do?" I took a deep breath, knowing I had to lay it all out. "I want you to focus on yourself, get the help you need, whether it's therapy or support groups. I want you to show that you're committed to being a better person, not just for Mia, but for yourself as well. I need to see real change." Laura nodded slowly, absorbing my words. "Okay, I'll do it. I want to be a part of her life, but you have to let me in." I sighed, feeling a mixture of frustration and hope. "I'll consider it, but understand this. No more lies. If you slip up, I'll have no choice but to keep Mia away from you. This is your one chance to prove yourself." She nodded again, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions: regret, hope, and something I hadn't seen in a while: determination. "Mia deserves more than what I've given her. I'll do what it takes," she said, her voice steadier. I studied her face closely, trying to decipher the sincerity behind her words. Perhaps this was a turning point, but I knew I had to remain cautious. Trust had been shattered, and rebuilding it wouldn't happen overnight. We left the auditorium together, walking side by side but not quite as partners. I could feel the distance that still lingered between us, but I also felt a sense of resolution. It was a start, a small step toward healing and rebuilding our family, albeit a fragile one. As we approached Mia, who was still deep in conversation with her friends, I felt a wave of warmth wash over me. This was what truly mattered. I would protect her at all costs and do everything in my power to ensure she thrived in the future. In the weeks that followed, I kept my distance from Laura while giving her the space to grow. I made sure Mia was the priority in all our interactions. Laura began to attend therapy, and while I still felt skepticism, I also saw glimpses of change. She started to send thoughtful messages about Mia's progress, engaging in conversations that reflected genuine interest. Mia thrived at the academy, and I couldn't have been prouder. Her dance routines became more advanced, and she was even given the opportunity to perform at a local festival. It was an incredible moment, and seeing her up on that stage filled me with joy. Laura attended the festival, and I watched her from a distance, noting the way she cheered for Mia with pride. It was a fleeting moment of hope, but I was careful not to let my guard down completely. As the festival ended, I approached Laura. "Thank you for coming today," I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Mia loves having you here." "I love being here," she replied, her eyes softening. "I just want to do right by her. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm committed to being better." "Just keep showing it," I said firmly. "That's all I can ask for." We exchanged a brief, understanding glance, and for the first time in a long time I felt a glimmer of hope for what the future might hold. It wouldn't be easy. Trust takes time to rebuild. But I was willing to give her a chance, as long as she continued to prove that she was dedicated to the journey. As I walked away, I felt a sense of peace settle within me. I had taken control of my life and my daughter's future. No matter what happened with Laura, I would always be there for Mia, fighting for her happiness, and ensuring that she had all the opportunities she deserved. In that moment, I realized that the true essence of love isn't just about holding on. Sometimes, it's about letting go, moving forward, and creating a brighter path for those who matter most. I was no longer just the husband betrayed. I was a father determined to pave the way for a better tomorrow.